In 2018, Good Samaritans rushed to the help of Nicole, donating more than £45,000 for what they thought was life-saving treatment for ovarian cancer. This was via her fundraising page, but little did they know the woman they thought they were helping was instead using that money for gambling and luxury holidays. She's now been sentenced to 33 months in prison just this week. And we're joined now by Nicole's, well, was her friend, and then became a victim. That's Jo Mapp, and alongside her we have forensic psychologist Kerry Nixon.
Well, Jo, we want to start with you first of all, and we want to hear about Nicole. Tell us about her and why you just felt this compulsion to help.
Well, I met Nicole 10 years ago and we became friends. We had quite a lot in common. We were both from London, moved to a new area. I'd come back from Spain, so we didn't know very many people. And we had quite a lot in common. I have a connection to Spain because I'd been living there, and she also said that her family were there. So we had quite a lot of stuff in common.
So you became good friends. When did she actually tell you that she was ill?
She told me at a friend's funeral.
And that must have been a difficult day. So you're saying goodbye, paying your last respects to a friend. How did she tell you this story? What did she tell you about her alleged cancer?
Right, so just as we came out from the funeral, she told me that her cancer had come back, but heroically she said, "Today is not about me. This is, we're at a funeral." So I was devastated for her and gobsmacked because I didn't know that she'd had cancer previously. So I was really shocked. And then I got in touch with her a couple of days later to ask her how I could help, what we could do to help.
And she said?
And she suggested that we do some events to raise money because she needed treatment abroad.
You know, it's really interesting here, and the money rolled in, and lots of friends were there, and it grew to around £45,000. And I'd like to go to you, Kerry, and ask you now. Nicole, Jo was just saying there that Nicole said, "But this is not about me today," and I'm sure looking at this case, you realise it was everything about her.
Absolutely, it was everything about her. What's really interesting is that when people commit this kind of fraud, fundamentally it's about monetary gain. But the method that she used, absolutely, it was about her. And telling her friend on the day of the funeral, it was making it all about her. And as well as monetary gain, she also wanted attention. And she wanted people to feel sorry for her, hence why she told her in that manner.
So not necessarily, although we're here and we're shocked and horrified that, people out of their good nature, they donate their hard-earned cash, they raise money, they put their reputations on the line. So although we're all a bit appalled about that, what you're saying, though, is that it isn't necessarily about grabbing cash.
Absolutely, because if it was about just grabbing cash, she could have used any number of ways to do it. The fact that she chose that method in that way to get attention, to tell as many people as possible, to set up that page, was not just about the money, because she could have found other ways. It was about the attention. It was about the need for people to feel sorry for her, as well as the monetary gain, and also funding her lavish lifestyle. Yeah. We know from what she spent the money on, it wasn't just about paying off debt, but, having this lifestyle where she was centre of attention.
And she did get a lot of attention, Jo. I mean, you had, this is before this pandemic, you had a music venue, so you used that music venue to host events. Tell us about just your local community and the people that got involved, who really wanted to help her, and whether it was an event or whether it was donating.
Well, everybody wanted to help her because we are a really small community around here, but there were seeds of a fantasist before, because she had mentioned that she hung out with famous people and she knew these famous people. And although I didn't believe any of that, it was harmless at that point. It was nothing alarming to me, because lots of people like to make up stories about their life, but it was always about, she was very well groomed. she took a lot of pride in her appearance. So yeah, I can kind of see that it was very much about an attention thing as opposed to the money.
Let's talk about that.
Let's look at this picture again of her in the hospital, Joe, because this is how she became undone. This was a photograph, actually, she was in hospital at the time, but it was for a different procedure. It was a gallbladder operation, which went very well. But she then used this, and the doctor who actually, or part of the team that was involved in removing her gallbladder, recognised this picture and thought, oh, there's something wrong here. How were you told that all wasn't what it seemed, and what was your reaction?
I was really, really shocked and in disbelief. I was still maintaining that it wasn't true, that even though, you know, there were fantasist elements, I didn't think anybody would do anything as serious as that. It was a line that had been stepped over. So I still maintained that she was innocent, and I was still sending her messages of support.
What do you think of her now?
I've gone through the shock stage, I've gone through the angry phase, and now I'm just at the point where I think it's an undiagnosed illness or something. I'm not, you know, I don't think she's evil. I don't. Yeah. Lots of people are quite angry. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just baffled, really.
Well, I think the doctor will now tell us, although we're looking at a specific case here and we're looking at a woman who has been punished for her deception, this sort of condition presumably exists in various degrees throughout all our lives and in our society.
Absolutely, and we can see lots of different traits here. It's very much indicative of histrionic traits, the need for centre of attention, the pathological lying. We also know that from gambling, that creates more antisocial behaviours. Somebody who gets away with this kind of stuff, they need to have that power of persuasion. And in order to have that power of persuasion, you have to feel comfortable with lying. You have to feel comfortable with creating this elaborate story. So we see those antisocial traits, we see those narcissistic traits, and we see those histrionic traits. So absolutely, her behaviour is indicative of those kind of things.
Well, ladies, thank you both very much indeed. Fascinating story. Nicole Elkabas is serving 33 months in prison, and she started that sentence this week. Thank you both very much indeed.